of that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 10 of the season, coming to you today from VIR. It's myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie on the call as always. We'll talk about the other meat and potatoes with this race here in a few moments' time, but at the top of the show, we did want to wish Weekend Warriors Series admin and all-around fantastic guy, Jim Brewster, who recently underwent some wrist surgery. We're wishing him well on the recovery. Just had it done the other day, and I believe he may actually be with us here in the booth in about a week's time, so stay tuned for the next round of the season. But Josh, it's been a little bit since we went to the VIR North configuration. We come here every single season, but I feel like the spot in the calendar always kind of changes greatly. We either go here in like back-to-back months, or it feels like 3 months since we have been here. We're kind of on one of those swings right now, but this track in Formula V racing, really, it is a match made in heaven, which is quite surprising considering this VIR North configuration, it is, you could call it the inside of an abandoned warehouse. There's a lot of dust around this place. It just doesn't get used.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for having me in there, Ron. Definitely, we've been here a few times before, and there is actually quite a bit of this track that never gets used, isn't there? There's a really, really long version of VIR that basically never gets any play. I think maybe Weekend Warriors hit it last season in one of the pieces of machinery. But today, of course, we are at the North Course. Not a terrible school course, if you ask me. It does use a good portion of VIR that's fun. It misses kind of one of my favorite sections there, but we're following now Chris Montgomery here through some of the more kind of technical early bits of the lap, and then into this wide open. You're going to be flat on the throttle from here all the way down to usually you're going to be going up this sort of S section here past the flagman, but today you can see those cones down there. We're actually going to make a pretty abrupt right and go up this hill. Now you can use a bit of this hill to sort of cup the car and grab it, but then you lose it all right here, and you got to be really careful on the throttle. Back into some more really technical sections here. Very blind corner coming up on our screens right now that you just have to kind of get the turn in for. You're basically flat through here. You can hear them bouncing off the limiter in third gear, not going into fourth gear. I'm imagining just again because the car just doesn't have the torque to pull you up that hill in the way that you'd want to. And then we're going to come back down the hill through one of the faster sections, some of the faster corners here. Very, very important part to get right this final corner here and lay the power down. Get a bit of a shallow line on the inside, maybe shorten the track a little bit, hug this right side and down to the finish line today. And this straightaway run's easily going to be the best place to get a pass done today under draft and so on. So I think we're probably going to see 2 or 3 wide down here. We're going to see fights into T1 as we usually do around VIR, don't we, Ron? It's always lap after lap after lap, 3 wide into T1.
Yeah, probably will be the case. And taking a look at the YouTube chat, Dan's saying that he can hear 3 Rons. First off, that sounds like a fate worse than death. Josh, do you have your speaker system on in your room? Because I think it's feeding back through the microphone for the people on the air. I cannot hear it on Discord most of the time.
Probably it, actually. You're probably right. You know what? Let's do a little change here, and then we'll ask our audience if you still sound like you're coming over the PA in the background, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll use the harmonica as a good little test, shall we? Let me know when we're good to go.
Yeah, we should be switched over now to my ears instead of speakers, and maybe we can finally figure out what that is. You know, I've been trying to figure out what that problem was. I think you may have just identified it.
Yeah, that would do. I know whenever I've been producing and commentating from time to time, Discord obviously has a little bit of noise filtering. You can't detect everything. Like if I don't know, good little example. If I crank my mic gain all the way up, you can hear.
Yep.
You can hear just about everything as I probably just blew Josh's monitor off there. I apologize to anyone whose ears I just blew up there in the process. Thankfully, I didn't blow on the harmonica when the mic gain was up there either. But gotta love audio issues. Our favorite thing as broadcasters. We'll also say as well, our usually wonderful production software having some slight issues with the points. So if we cannot pull those up, I'll probably go through them before we get done with qualifying. Just as a word of friendly warning, we may have to collect those off like cattle auctioneers. In the meantime, though, we are still in this qualifying session. Drivers getting some first lap times on the board about halfway through the session already. Time flies when you are having fun. Guido Marzucchi is your current provisional pole sitter. We follow him right now, heading his way off through the final few turns, heading off through roller coaster right about now. Brian Szynski set to join him on the front row. Andrew Love, top qualifier in the Masters category, and Martin Visser currently leading in Spec 2. So we'll keep an eye on the gaps and how drivers are looking at time-wise between now and the end of the session. We'll say as well, our Spec 1 championship points leader of Tortello may not be here in this race. I was keeping tabs with the Formula V Discord server, as I usually do. It's espionage. It's nothing more than that. And I saw that Tor's actually racing in real life this weekend, so that could be a very good reason why he is not here in the sim. Tell you what, yesterday I had slept less than I was meant to be on the air for. I had the 4-hour iRacing World 600 broadcast, and I was running on about 3.5 hours of sleep and 400 milligrams of caffeine. There was at one point where I genuinely sounded like I was speaking in tongues on that show, which is fresh coming from me, but I digress. But getting into qualifying right now, Josh, this is, again, an unusual racetrack, so this qualifying session does have to be tackled in a very different way than qualifying at VIR usually has to be dealt with.
Yeah, I'd say that's true for sure. Very different course. Maybe not quite as important around this track for qualifying today. It's pretty tight. It's going to be a tight pack. There's a big draft down that front straightaway, so I'm not really sure what to think about that, whether that would be more important or less important. But I really don't think VIR, being what it is, that the quali is going to be quite as important today. We are, pretty tight in quali here, I believe. So like the field looks very, very close together, and I think it's probably going to remain that way for most of the race. This is going to be, again, I like to say basically every week, is it's going to be a race of decision making and stuff out there, trying to make good decisions and make passes in places where you can get them done and keep your momentum up, or where you don't end up going backwards, or end up going end up facing backwards either. But you know what? I think I actually got some points loaded here. I was able to get them. Hopefully they're going to work. I'm going to try with the S1 points to start us off, and there we go. It looks like it did work. Tortello leading us in the championship standings in S1 with 885 points. Guido Marzucci just behind him with 780, then 543 for Sam Chapman. Joshua Justice in fourth place, and Michelle Lynn with a solid fifth place there. We'll let you go through the rest of those points on your own here, but that's going to be our S1 points. Over in S2, my favorite class, we are going to have Martin Visser leading with 586 points. 530 points just behind him, Jason Greider, Brian Hansen, and then Stephen Westcott. Daniel Szynski will be in fifth place in the 899. Pretty close up there in the front. Still, there's only a couple rounds left, so I'm pretty sure Martin Visser's going to have this one pretty locked up here, unless he has some issues or doesn't show up to a couple races. Looks like he's here today, so to defend that lead, but maybe things sewn up over there in S2. Head over to Masters now, where I believe Jim Brewster, admin here, is holding 644 points. That's going to keep him up there, I think, till the end of the season, even though he can't be around for the last couple rounds here. I think that's probably still going to lock him out for the win this season. Alan Degas is just behind him with 470. 461 brings us to Nick Tullo in third. Kurt Nunez in fourth place there with 411 points. Then Wayne Buttermore with a solid fifth place this season in Masters 407. We'll let you have a look at the rest of those points there, and that's going to kind of wrap up our points into round 10. Ron, we were able to get them to work here with even a couple minutes left here in quali.
Yeah, lovely, lovely stuff here. And before we get too lost up in the show, I do want to thank Raphael Boley for sponsoring this broadcast here of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here today. We may be able to have a chat with him here in a few moments' time. In the meantime, though, we can chat about this racetrack, the odd nature of it. A fun little fact I find about this place is the fact that, considering how twisty, tight, and technical that infield section is, this VIR North layout has the exact same number of numbered turns on the track map. We go up to 17 here on this layout than there are on the full layouts, because it's just so spaced out. You have that massively long back straightaway. Now, if we actually went by the turn, like the amount of turns that were actually marked here and didn't go down on a 5A, 6A, 12A, 14A, we completely bypass turn number 13, by the way, on this track. We go straight from 12 into 12A through 14 into 14A, but I digress. We'd probably be looking at about 20 turns around this racetrack. And you mentioned the grand layout of this place. If anyone's ever driven around the grand layout, that's probably what I would imagine if the human digestive system was turned into a racing circuit.
Yeah, it is like a big, giant, long, somewhat, like an intestine or something, all laid out over the ground here. It's ridiculously big. You get lost in it, to be honest. I've never actually had a race in anger around it. I've tried of some laps, and pulled some laps around it. I'm a huge fan of the classic sort of VIR layout that we're all used to. I absolutely love VIR. Never really had a chance to run the grand layout. I have run this North Course layout, I believe, in the FFs a few seasons back, and it wasn't that bad. I didn't mind it, but I would much rather be doing the normal classic layout, I think, Ron. And the big one, something that interests me. It's sort of, I believe they call it like what do they call it? The Nordschleife of the U.S. or something like that, and it kind of is a little bit. It's like a little mini Nürburgring.
Yeah, I have heard that comparison in the past. The Nürburgring, of course, some iconic turns in the world of motorsports. This track does as well. The history around VIR too, pretty storied. This place is opened back in 1957, closed in the 70s, only to reopen back in the year 2000. It had been abandoned for quite some time and pretty much just turned into a chicken farm, kind of the perimeter road
Yeah,
around a real chicken farm. And
delicious.
although delicious and nutritious as it turns out, but it was a really good thing that they did to bring this track back in pretty much an unaltered form. I think the only major changes they did, I think there was one turn that they had to change because there was a sinkhole that had formed where the track used to go, and that was kind of it. They of course added in the grand layout. This VIR North configuration was actually around way back in the day in the original run of this racetrack, but of course many changes have been undergone ever since. If you're driving around this racetrack either in real life or in the sim and you see a rooster crossing the road, I guess you can insert the joke here. Why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other grandstands here at VIR? But that would still not be a very good sight, just as it wasn't for the people who bought this place back in the year 2000. Checkered flag out, though, in qualifying. No cars out there on the racetrack when the checkered flag fell. Pretty much everything set in order before we could get rocking and rolling here for this race. And speaking of, as Barney's ready to wave that flag there, has not escaped off to the porta potty quite yet. Sorry, the honey bucket. Porta potty, I never like that. Honey bucket's better. Let's take a look at your starting grid. Guido Marzucchi going to start from the pole. Andrew Love, your Masters pole sitter, will join him on the front row. Brian Zazinski will be in third next to Parvner Ladar in fourth. Chris Montgomery will be in fifth. Angel Soto is in sixth. Alan DeGassis in seventh alongside your Spec 2 pole sitter of Martin Visser. Michelle Lynn, series admin, hoping that I don't issue out a falling anvil to her. She had a good result last time out, probably because I wasn't here. She's going to start this race in ninth. Brian Hansen rounds out your top 10 with Jason Grider and Ken Poulin starting in 11th and 12th. Just a few more drivers left to go through as they are rolling here on this formation lap. Kurt Nunez starting this race in lucky spot P13, Joshua Justice in 14th, Stephen Westcon P15, Gary Kittle in 16th, Wayne Baltimore running out your 17 car field. These drivers took the starting grid very early. So Josh, very quick thoughts before we get the green.
Yeah, I think, just to parrot what I was saying earlier here, they've been here so many times, Ron. They know this track really well. It's going to be about racing your competitor, having some respect, and making good decisions today, as Guido Marzucchi is going to bring us to the start here. I don't believe he's jumped quite yet. He's waiting, and there he goes. Green flag. We are racing here. I believe... Oh, maybe he's holding it up, actually. I may have jumped the gun there. He is going to wait for that green by the looks of it. He is holding up the field, and now we're green. Green light here for Guido Marzucchi. He's going to get a fairly good jump there off the rip. Lots of pack driving here in the back. You can see Joshua Justice here is going to make it 3 wide into T1 right away. I'm going to give us a nice chopper view here so we can get a look at this one, Ron.
Oi! And his contact going down to turn number 1. Alan DeGassis, Chris Montgomery, Parvner Ladar, and unfortunately Michelle Lynn all caught up into it, heading into turn number 1. It was some moves and dives attempted off in there, and it's blown this field apart already. Your top 3 driving off into the sunset. That's Guido Marzucchi leading over Andrew Love, leading over Brian Szynski, but 4 cars coming to blows as they headed their way into turn number 1. I feel bad. I feel really bad. That was a jinx put on by me. Ken Poulin was very lucky to avoid any of that, as was Wayne Buttermore, who's been able to make his way up 6 spots from where he started here in this race. Let's take a look at this from Ken Poulin's perspective. He was one of the drivers involved in that incident, unfortunately gets sent around.
Yeah, it looked like, again, we had a little bit of miscommunication there between some of the drivers in braking. A little bit early braking, caught a couple people out there by the looks of it, and I'm not exactly sure how that kicked off. We'll leave that one to the stewards, but yeah, an unfortunate one. It's difficult, that big, long straightaway. Every once in a while, those long straightaways just, they allow you to not be, I guess you could say, instinctive sometimes when you have to wait so long for that break period, and it's hard to just be instinctive. I genuinely or generally like tracks where it's kind of piff-paff and your brain is working the whole time. If you get this big, long straightaway, you got all this time to think about that break period. It's a little bit hard to be instinctive into T1. I think maybe that's what caught a couple of the drivers out, as we're now seeing Andrew Love, who's going to test Guido Marzucchi on the outside into T1 after lap 1 here. See, it's not really the best place to get a pass done here. It doesn't really work into T1, but you got to put that pressure on and use that momentum, don't you, Ron?
Yeah, no, you've got to do it. Just lay on that pressure about as thick as icing on top of a wedding cake. If you can run that game well, you can be golden here in this race. But there is a very fine line that these drivers have to run. Got to be careful running around this place. One small little mistake and can end in tears. This track, one that I compare a lot to Lime Rock Park in the sense that they're built kind of around the same time, have incredible sports car racing pedigree, both on a professional and amateur level here in the States. And also as well, the runoff area is very similar. It feels like highway clear areas when you just see a grassy area that you can drive off if you're not actually on the road itself. That's what we've got here at VIR, but also some very fantastic opportunities to start to race as well. Michelle Lynn looking to crawl back from the cellar, trying to jump her way up into P15, get some moves done on Gary Cattell. That's heading off into turn number 7 through the uphill bend. Runs a little bit wide on exit, but still P15 for the driver of the number 5 machine, with Parker Ladar directly behind in the 3 car. Your top 3, though, still on an island of their own. We'll have to call them all Gilligan.
Gilligan, Marianne, and I forget who the other guy was, but a decent...
Steve, for convenience.
There we go, Steve. Steve. I'm not sure who's who there, but they are on a bit of an island of their own here for sure. You got the M&M's car there of Angel Soto in the background, bringing us a new food almost at least every couple weeks. I think he's got a new food on his car there. I know I'm a big M&M fan personally. I ate half a bag last night, actually. And the first time in a long time, got a pretty nasty stomach ache. I'm getting old, can't do that stuff anymore. But again, we're going to go too wide into T1. Not really going to be able to make that one happen. But again, like I said, I don't think Andrew Love's really looking to take lead of the race necessarily there. He's just kind of blowing off some of that momentum and using it into the corner, so you don't have to kind of stifle the person behind you, maybe lose that draft a little bit. But honestly, they're going to have to start figuring something out here pretty soon. Keep an eye on that gap from the number 55 in position for Angel Soto. Keep an eye on that gap. 2.6 seconds at the moment. Let's see if he can't bring that a little bit closer, or if they're going to run away with him in the draft here. He's also going to have to worry about Brian Hansen in the 771. Only about 1 second, or just about 2 seconds actually, behind Angel Soto now as well. And he's going to bring that pack into play pretty soon here. As you can see now, he's actually slowly chipping away from that gap a little bit as well. So we'll keep an eye on these 2 packs, but I would imagine, depending on how their cards are played out here, that we could end up having either one big pack or 2 bigger packs.
You know, when we come to these draft-heavy tracks, there really is no like middle ground. I would say of the draft-heavy races, this is probably the one where you expect it the most, considering you've got that start-finish straightaway, and that's kind of it in terms of long drafting opportunities. But the speeds are so in many other parts of this track where the field can be packed together like sardines. But if you do have a little bit of drama like we did have at the start of this race, those wedges can be drawn in between these groups of cars, and you'll never be able to get them stuck together again. It's like ripping a piece of paper. Yeah, you can try and put it close, but it'll never be back into one single piece like it was before. Top 3, though, still battling. They have the room to battle. The 3-second gap, it's not insurmountable. I mean, we're only 5.5 minutes into a 30-minute long race, so by no means can that gap just never come down. But these drivers do have the chance to be able to battle. And another good thing helping out those top 3 is the fact that Angel Soto, he may only be 3 seconds back, but he talk about, you know, Gilligan's Island. He's the one that should have the bucket hat, because he is all by himself, 3 seconds behind the cars in front and 2 seconds in front of the cars behind. Yes, I certainly have to wonder whether or not we will see those competitors.
Whoops, I was muted.
Yeah, and I've done that so many times. I have absolutely no room to judge.
Fair. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, you're totally right there on it. You can see that gap that we were looking at was, I believe it was about 1.6 to Angel. So he's made a bit of a mistake here, leading in now to this latter half of the course. And it looks like he's actually dropping a bit of time as well to Brian Hansen. So he's even on a more of an island than he was last time we checked in. So we'll keep having a look at that. But there is a little bit of side-by-side racing here up front as well. as behind them with Brian Hansen. We'll jump back there in a moment, as we're going to continue to have this sort of Groundhog Day moment going into T1 here with the front pack.
You know, I've occasionally done this on the air where I'll just say some things like Groundhog Day because it keeps repeating it. Oh, contact made. That's Josh Justice getting a little bit of airtime there. He somehow did not fire off the racetrack. Josh Justice and turn 1 here at VIR is not a good combination. I remember covering him on an old Ray Esports broadcast in the Spec Racer Fords around here. Went off into the runoff area and flipped it. I'm not even kidding. It was the slowest flip that I have ever seen. Now, that was over on another network, so I won't say that you can find that clip. But it did happen. You can take my word for it. Josh, I believe you were in the production truck when that took place. I know Charles and I were commentating that race when it went down. So Josh Justice in turn 1 here at VIR don't seem to be the greatest combination, but somehow, some way, even with the back end of the race car about 3 feet in the air, he's held on to it and still holding on to the final spot inside the top 10. That is just shocking.
Yeah, that's 2 pretty major incidents there for Joshua Justice, still able to be in the top 10 there. We know he's a very fast driver for sure. He seems to always find himself in those fights, in those packs, in the middle of the pack, kind of like myself, to be honest. I always seem to be able to get the dukes out with somebody out there. And, you know, again, being in the middle of the pack, having a bit of an incident at the beginning, it sort of puts you in that scenario, doesn't it, Ron? You end up a little bit on the back foot. You know, it's like they say, everybody's got a really good picture of how a fight's going to go till they get a shot in the face, and all of a sudden your eyes are watering and your nose hurts, and now all of a sudden that plan you had is sort of out the window, and you really have to put your dukes up. And that's kind of what Joshua Justice has found himself in, as well as Michelle Lynn back there now fighting with Parvinder Ladar, who's actually managed to get around him. As we're going to go 2x2 here back in the pack. I believe that's Brian Hansen leading Kurt Nunez, leading Martin Visser, and then Ken Poulin having a pretty good little battle of their own here in the mid-pack. So there is fighting going on out there. You look just behind them as well. You can see Chris Montgomery, I believe that's Jason Greider as well, having a bit of a fight in another pack back there. So we'll do our best to kind of keep everybody in check here and make sure you're seeing a little bit of everything. But that's kind of what happens around here at VIR, isn't it, Ron? You end up in these sort of islands racing with each other. Maybe the technical nature of the track is why that continues to happen around here.
Yeah, I sometimes compare racing to like high school, especially being in the cafeteria when little cliques would form of just here's your friend group, not even your friend group, just the people that you hung out with. Of the people that I considered to be my friend group back in middle school, didn't really have the other quintessential high school experience, thanks to everything that went down when I was in my freshman year back in 2020. However, when I was in middle school, I had my own friend group, and I think out of all of them, I talked to one of them. That's pretty much it. Technically, we'll say 1.5, because one of my friends that's around to this day occasionally popped into that group, but that was kind of it. But you've got those little cliques that form here in these races of drivers that know each other rather well as competitors. We think about this field of drivers side by side, nearly 3 wide at the front of the field between Guido, Andrew, and Brian. Drivers that we've been covering here in this series for many, many moons. Drivers who have raced around each other for many, many moons as well. I mean, it's odd to say, just even discounting the time that they were racing here in the Formula Vs before we started broadcasting them here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, if they've been around since we started covering the action, that is darn near 2 years ago. So it is a long time that these drivers have been racing around each other, either here just strictly in the Vs or in a wide variety of different race cars, either here in the Weekend Warriors world, just in iracing period. Many of these drivers also teammates as well in slow motion racing, so there is that camaraderie. It's always good to battle the people that you know the most, because you can usually get the upper hand. The only downside is because you know them, they know you, and the exact same effect gets played towards yourself.
Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. It's one of those sort of push and pull scenarios as well, Ron, where you're friends, but then the helmet goes on and you have to try to cut a balance between being the person's friend that that you're going to be in chat with in 20 minutes, and applying the pressure, and maybe perhaps being friends off for a little while afterwards if something goes wrong. And I know I've been there, and I know anybody who's a competitor of any kind is going to have to deal with something like that for sure. And something I've been thinking about a lot too is bringing sort of some of the sim life into this as well. We have to remember, there's drivers out here. We're watching this digitally on online here, and everybody's got a different setup. Some people are sitting in triple rig, some people are sitting in ultra wide rig, some people have a G27 connected to a single monitor and they're sitting in a rocking chair. Some people have on our laptop, and it really does make a difference out there. I think I'm going to start trying to think about that a little bit more these days, and how I can kind of add that layer to things as well, that what we can kind of bring to the plate as far as what's going on at home with these people as well. In the sim, of course, I mean, what kind of setup they have, what kind of force feedback they're using. Are they having, brake issues today? Things are, people I think leave that behind a lot. The setup matters. It matters how well your computer is running. It matters how well how comfortable you are in your rig. If your FOV is correct, all of that stuff matters, and it's something we don't talk about often.
Yeah, I've seen some of the rigs that the people drive in that I get the opportunity to commentate on, either on a weekly basis or just sporadically. I've even said this on the air. Some of these drivers' rigs probably cost more than what my soul would sell for on the black market. It is insane. But it is a big change as well between, single monitors, ultra wides, triple monitors, VR. It changes the driving style quite a lot. You don't have to talk about this in real life in terms of how a driver's vision may be, outside of talking about, visors and glare. And that's kind of it, but these drivers have to worry about the glare in the sim if we are running off in the sunset. We are not, though. We've got a pretty good daytime race here at the moment. Taking a quick little gander at the other track conditions here. We don't usually have the time to talk about that here in these races, but it's rather toasty. 129 degrees Fahrenheit, in fact, for the track temperature. You can tell that I had not seen the track temp beforehand.
Wow. Yowzers, Ron. I'm not sure I've ever seen it that hot before. I don't know who set this up, but you could fry an egg on that one. That's like, oh man, that's like, what, 20, 30 degrees below food safe? You could cook a soup almost on the asphalt here today. So, I mean, there you go again, bringing the sim into play. I don't know if that was a mistake. I don't know if that's just the sim doing its thing, but you're going to have to deal with that out there today. That is a greasy racetrack.
Yeah, see, I'm invoking a little bit of terminology that I think we did on the Sim Racers group broadcast not too terribly long ago. It was down in Winton, and we saw some pretty disgustingly hot track temperatures, but I think that would work out to be roughly a rare to mid-rare steak at the moment for these track temperatures. That is ridiculous. Only here on Slow Motion Broadcasting can we ever describe a racetrack as being a medium rare steak. If that doesn't give you a reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell, I really don't know what does. Halfway through this race now, Guido Marzucchi still your race leader. Andrew Love, Brian Szynski still completing your podium. Love your leader at the moment in the Masters class. Although the fight for this lead in Spec 2 still very much on. Brian Hansen is your leader in that class right now, holding on to 6th. He's right towards the front end of this little train of cars, but it's only one car, that being Ken Poulin, between himself and Martin Visser. This battle is going to be pretty hot. You also have to consider Jason Ryder as well, a little bit farther behind in this fight. He's going to be there to try and pounce as well. Your reigning Spec 2 champion here in the Formula Vs. You know that he is going to be a driver to keep our eyes out for as we get towards the end of this race, as we're side by side once again for your race lead, side by side throughout the field, really.
Yeah, pretty much every lap we're going to be doing this, and you can see the front managing their gap is what they're doing right there. Andrew Love not really putting any pressure on, but allowing that momentum to kind of take him into the corner and then just file back in. Dan Szynski also playing ball up front there, and that's exactly how you pull away from a pack. That's how you get it done for sure. Save it to the end, and then you can start attacking each other. Then you can start kind of tightening up the steering rack a little bit. But this pack in the back is about to break loose here, I think. Kurt Nunez is leading this in the 918, and then he just has a train of Formula V race cars behind him. And I can tell you, when you get that many brains together with that many wheels, you're going to get something happening. Not everybody's going to be able to, even on a good day, communicate everything perfectly. So we're either going to get some passes like we're seeing right here. Martin Visser now making a move on, I believe, the 771 there. Was that Martin Visser? Yes, it was, in the 444, making a move, trying to get up front. He's got to do something. He's got to make sure that he gets by these two cars. his chance to win S2 is slipping away here pretty rapidly, although he does have just under half the race left. He's going to have to make something happen here pretty soon, and cannot let the rest of that pack catch him.
Yeah, so although the battling up at the front has just basically been the same three ever since we got going here, the battling behind is very, very exciting. So this is going to be the case all the way through to the fall of the checkered flag, unless the field breaks apart, which, hey, it is Formula V racing around VIR. These drivers know each other quite well, as I nearly swallowed my tongue there. They know each other quite well, they know how to race each other, but they also know this racetrack rather well, and it is one where things can go very, very wrong very, very quickly, and there's not a lot that you can do to try and change the fate of the racing gods. Still side by side, that's Kurt Nunez and Brian Hansen involved in this battle. We ride on board with Brian Hansen, who's got a fantastic view of side-by-side racing directly behind him, involving Alan DeGassis there. As you can see, a lot of smoke up in the air, downshifting, maybe a couple of locks up, close to making contact there. DeGassis and Visser. Visser was caught on that outside curb as he headed his way through NASCAR bend of turn number 3. Very lucky he avoided that is Josh Justice. Very unlucky to not be able to avoid a black flag. That is likely for incident points, and that's going to take him out of the running.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Joshua Justice, now side by side with Michelle Lynn. You'll probably see him backing off here now. Really no point to turn the screws on anyone when you have a black flag. He's going to have to go and serve that. It'll pretty much take him out of it for today. But are making a bit of a comeback tour here for Michelle Lynn, Parvin Ladar, and Joshua Justice, who were caught up in that incident right off the bat. Joshua Justice having another one sort of mid-race there. We're seeing, of course, here, mid and up front, we did have a little bit of a shuffle here. Kurt Nunez still leading, Ken Poulin is leading this group. Then Brian Hansen, Alan DeGassis, Martin Visser. Still a gap there, just one car in between Brian Hansen and Martin Visser. There was a bit of a change there. Alan DeGassis did make it past Martin Visser, but Brian Hansen also got passed by Kurt Nunez, leaving it one car in between the two. So the 444 still has a pretty good look at the 771 up there, and we'll be keeping an eye on that one to see if he can't make it past. But we shall see here as they're going to tighten up a little bit into T1 again.
Yeah, they're getting froggy in these battles and getting into the closing stages of this race as well. Already 19 and a half minutes down. Not a lot of racing left to go. Not a lot of opportunities left for these racers either. This track is one that, as Dan Stasinski brought up in the YouTube chat a little bit earlier on, is one that I think fits a little bit better here with these Vs than they would on a longer track. I do wish, however, to maybe spice it up, ping pong back and forth between the north and the southern layout one season to another. That south layout, it just kind of looks like a weird steering wheel club. It's a very odd racetrack, that, but I wonder how that would race with the Formula Vs. I don't know, maybe I'll pitch that right at this broadcast as a little closing show monologue. That could be rather interesting. And then you can tune in next week when I try and pitch my case for why we should be racing at the Slinger Figure 8 every single season. The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
And I muted myself again. I think it rubbed off on me there, Ron.
Of this race, yeah, I absolutely have. I'm a bad influence on people. Actually, it can be said, as you can see, that was Martin Visser actually running wide as he headed his way onto the start-finish straightaway and side-by-side up at the front between Andrew Love and Guido Marzucchi. One of the newest colleagues that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, James McDonald. Gonna have a conversation with him a little bit later on, kind of talking about advice on broadcasting, and I'll have to specify all the advice by letting him know, hey, look, people either enjoy, in big air quotes, my style of announcing, or absolutely hate it with a burning passion. That rings for series admins, drivers, and even some colleagues for that matter. So there are things that I think broadcasters should do. Taking advice from me, not up there in the top 10, top 15, top 25, top 50 even for that matter. I'm so sorry that you've been cursed with such a fate, Josh.
Hey, I enjoy it, man. We've been doing this for quite a while, and you do a bang-up job every time we're together. It's always a pleasure, my man. And James McDonald, good to have him part of the crew here as well. I know he's really enjoying himself as we're now getting pretty side by side here through parts of the track we were not getting side by side before. And of course, that's going to be indicative of that we only have about 9 minutes left in the race here, as we're seeing pack upon pack of car diving around trying to find room on the racetrack here, not to lock wheels and make a pass. Alan DeGassis really getting shuffled back in that particular shuffle right there, as well as Martin Visser now is going to be actually looking like he is leading his S2 compatriot now, but has actually slipped back a little bit. So we've done a little bit of shuffling around there. Michelle Lynn actually has now made her way up into 10th place on a really good comeback drive here, staring down now Brian Hansen and this group of cars that it looks like she's going to be able to play ball with here pretty soon, perhaps even down this straightaway. Guido Marzucci still leading us into T1. Andrew Love just behind him, Brian Chazinski in third, and they're pretty much just kind of playing line of stern up there until the wee hours, I think.
Yeah, no, get the moves done whenever the opportunity is a slam dunk. Otherwise, there's no point just licking the stamp and sending it right now. And if it does end in an accident, you'll just look like a fool. So those top three, not really a lot in it to battle. So right now, they just really, they are doing it, but it's that passive battling that I like to talk about here in these draft-heavy Formula Vs. Behind, though, it's definitely a lot more of a scrap. As you can see, Michelle Lynn diving down the inside, hang off in a turn number 4, trying to make something work on Martin Visser. Does not work, but she's going to have a fantastic run, heading off through the snake right about now onto this little crackle down, flat out blast into the infield section, starting off with turn number 7. We saw Michelle get some moves done in this part of the racetrack a little bit earlier on. We'll have to see if lightning can be caught in the bottle once more. Very tricky to make the turns here, even though it is a heavier braking zone. The nature of that turn makes it really tricky as contact heading out of it. Now is Alan DeGassis and Kurt Nunez, I believe, coming to blows. At least DeGassis involved.
Yeah, there we go, and you can see just how quickly on board with Michelle in there, how things can change. Up into 8th place now, and yeah, wow, just one little mistake, and woof, all of a sudden they are gone, and you're gaining positions there, so doing much better in the Dull Dime Racing rig now. Great comeback drive here so far. We'll have to go back and have a quick look at exactly what happened there, but we're still going to keep playing Groundhog Day here up front. Dan Chazinski now having kind of a look around, but hasn't really decided to make anything of it yet, and that's probably smart. I would wait a little bit longer too and see kind of what happens. He is going to have his chance here for sure coming around that last lap, but it really, it only matters who's got that pull when it comes across the line. Only that last lap matters, and only that last little bit of track matters here, as Michelle Lynn now going to make another move, I believe, around the 771 of Brian Hansen. Or no, that's just going to keep her in 8th place, so defending position there. Martin Visser up front here in S2 now, leading fairly decently over Brian Hansen. He's got some kind of stuff to deal with now, so as long as he can kind of keep it clean here and not make a mistake, maybe not push too hard on these drivers in front, he should be able to get away with this one. Brian Hansen, of course, though, is going to want to have something to say about that, although he does have a little bit more to deal with on his hands right now. Back to Parvinder Ladar here, who's had a bit of a difficult race this time around, and that early incident there has kind of put him back. Holding up to 10th place, though, so a little bit of a decent comeback drive for him as well. Only 5 minutes left now. Guido Marzucci still leading this race, the 944 of Andrew Love just behind him, and then the 84 of Brian Chazinski just waiting, biding his time here to see maybe if he can't pull out a win today. And I believe he's going to have a chance here if he can really tighten it up coming out of this last corner. He may have a chance. Just watching this run now, and it looks like Andrew Love, by the time they get to the line here, is going to have a pretty good bid on a win for this race today, Ron.
Yeah, I think all three of these drivers have a fantastic shot of doing well here. As you can see, Brian Chazinski, the latest to arrive at the party, trying to go immediately for the punch bowl. Goes for it, thought about 3-wide racing into turn number 1, but decided to back out of it. But Guido Marzucchi, Andrew Love, Brian Chazinski, that is a significant group of drivers. As here we go, that's the 3-wide racing I was looking for. Martin Visser fanning out to make it work. He's on track for a win in the Spec 2 category, and gonna give himself even more of a cushion there. Got the double move done on Chris Montgomery and Ken Poulin, clipping the coupon as he headed his way into one, but now Montgomery gonna look to maybe try and scrap here. Thought about it down the inside through 2 into 3, but not gonna be able to make it work in the stack up. You can see now Michelle Lynn and Parviner Ladar, the latest racers to arrive at the scene of this squabble, and Brian Hansen still involved in that as well. We can't rule him out, maybe making a lunge on Martin Visser. He would have to piece together a fantastic final 3.5 minutes of this race. But I've seen stranger things, and I'm not even talking about the Netflix show.
Yep, definitely. Nope, I'm not talking about that one either. Didn't really watch that show much. But Michelle Lynn having a pretty good run here now. She's got an opportunity here to make up some positions, or at least hold the one she's got. You're right about Brian Hansen back here as well. I think that he's got a chance for sure. Down this front straightaway, you could find yourself in front of all these cars by the end of that straightaway if you played your cards right, and depending on what happens in front of you. So you kind of just want to keep your eyes on the prize, try to relax a little bit and breathe here, and let things come to you if they're going to, and pounce on them if you can. And he could definitely still have a win on his hands here. Guido Marzucci up front here still trying to play ball here with Andrew Love. It doesn't look like they're going to be making any really drastic moves quite yet here. They got a lap or two left to sort things out, but maybe a bit more of a storyline back here now. The 141 of Ken Poulin's going to pull out, have a look around the outside of Chris Montgomery. Just behind them, Michelle and Parviner Ladar also side by side. Parviner Ladar's going to make a move now into, I believe, that is going to be 8th place, just in front of Michelle Lynn. Yeah, so I mean, it's all to have here. Brian Hansen is getting closer and closer to Martin Visser. You can smell it now for sure from his point of view. Although Chris Montgomery not giving a care at all as to what class anybody might be in, or if they are battling for a win. He's going to make a move on Martin Visser here for the lead of that pack.
Yeah, and so all of these drivers that you see right now feeling the pressure and feeling the anxiety as we get towards the end of this race with the white flag set to be out this upcoming time around. It'll be Guido Marzucchi, your current race leader, leading, I assume, as they come to take the white. However, I'm sure Andrew Love and Brian Szynski are going to let him know right away exactly what their intentions are. Maybe a lunge into turn number 1, maybe waiting for a photo finish. It is a very long run. Let's just recount it right now. There he is on the power, and we'll wait until they head their way across the stripe. It is a long run down to that line, so plenty of opportunities to try and give yourself the race win in the final few moments. You can see if this was the finish, it would be a thriller, but it's not. The white flag in the air. I think Andrew Love just barely led that lap. That could be a preview of our finish here, side by side into the braking zone of turn number 1 for the final time here in this race. Love and Marzucchi. Marzucchi on the inside line, Love on the outside. Brian Szynski right behind, getting a front row seat to it all. Gonna try and pounce when the opportunity sees right, in case these two end up in a cloud of dust and steam. Still side by side through 2 into 3. Andrew Love gonna punch out into that top spot, but he's going to be a sitting duck when they head their way onto the start finish straight away here in the not too distant future. That may be troublesome for the driver of the 944 car, still on track for a win in the Masters category no matter what goes down right now, but it's all a matter of who's going to finish on the top step of that overall podium. Will it be the Masters man of Andrew Love? Will it be the Spec 1 drivers of Guido Marzucchi and Brian Szynski? Time will only tell. Guido's been able to kick on the Hyperjets as of recent here in this series. Grabbed multiple wins last season, already has multiple wins this season. Brian Szynski, long-time Formula V weekend warrior racer and a Formula V racer in real life. You know that he's going to be hungry to try and get the win, as they're already starting to squabble as they head their way off in through the roller coaster section for the final time here in this race. Thought Szynski was going to maybe try and look for it down into turn number 14, but he thought better of it, and he knows why. He's going to be in third. He may have the outside shot as they head their way onto the straightaway, but he's going to have a major run, especially considering Andrew Love and Guido Marzucchi got caught up in each other's tails as they head their way onto that start finish straight away with a line coming up. 3 wide racing as they head their way towards the stripe. Who's going to get the win?
Well, Guido got it, I think. Szynski got it. Are you kidding? That right at the line. It looked to me like Guido had a nose on him, but no. Brian Szynski is going to take it. One of his first victories, I believe, in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, and he's going to do it on merit. 3 wide over the line. Pretty awesome stuff. Always getting these finishes like this around here. Of course, we're going to have to go back and have a quick look at that final finish as well. Not quite as close. Actually, it was very close as well there. 57 thousandths of a second between Michelle Lind and Brian Hansen. Michelle Lind is going to pip out one more position there before the end of the race. So great recovery drive for Michelle Lind. I'm sure that one felt good out there to get some redemption. But Brian Jasinski up here in the front in the 84, waited around the whole race, waiting in the wings, looking forward at his competitors, and was able to put that puzzle together and make the move at the end for the win. Absolutely amazing stuff, Ron.
Yeah, what a race that was. That was fantastic. And so let's take a look back at the finish here. Heading on to the start finish straight away. That little moment there between Andrew Love and Guido Marzucchi cost them a shot at victory. You can see Andrew kept a very tight line as he headed his way through Hog Pen onto that start finish straight away. And Guido had to check up a little bit. Wasn't him hitting the brakes or anything, but it was just enough for him to lose out on this race. You can't really see it with the camera angle there, but at the line, that was a matter of inches between those two cars. According to our graphics, it was 7 thousandths of a second. According to the iRacing official live timing, it was 9 thousandths of a second at the end of this race. Yeah, 2 thousandths of a second, the greatest difference in the world. Look at this as they head their way towards a line. Yeah, that was brilliantly executed.
Yeah, such a good run there from Brian, and he's able to kind of just pull out in the wing there, get away from any sort of turbulent air as well, make that gap and get it done. So absolutely amazing. And I mean, that is just crazy how close that actually is at the line right there. That's a real crazy one. He was able to take sort of the wider line as well. So just had an awesome run out of that final corner in the 84. Good job.
My oh my, what a race. Some fantastic drives throughout the field, and we'll get to speak to these drivers here in a few moments' time. In the meantime, though, let's take a look at your race results at the end of oh no. Oh dear. So Brian Jasinski, so much smoke coming out of the back of the motor, you think it would be in the background of a Snoop Dogg music video.
Yeah, he definitely blew the engine here for sure. I think we missed some of the drivers burning it down here as they do every race. To see if we can't find where they actually did it. I'm not sure I think there is a big jump at VIR somewhere. I'm not sure if they found it though. Andrew Love's usually good for finding those spots. I'm not really sure. Oh, there he goes. He dove off the road, and a pretty good little error there. And they're just gonna burn it down. There we go.
God bless America. That is absolutely awesome. That's what we like to see here. Actually, hang on. This is an interesting question that I am now posing myself. We're going to be racing Formula Vs on the 4th of July. Oh, that is going to be absolutely awesome. Oh, and I'm now looking forward to that broadcast a little bit later on here this year. But you still haven't figured out how Brian Jasinski blew up his... You know what grinds my gears, Josh? A blown clutch.
Yeah, that's ching dad joke there, I think, from Ron Maunz. That is definitely how you blow a clutch. I'm not sure that's what happened to our friend Brian there. I'm pretty sure he threw a rod or something. But on that note, you know what? He's not up in chat, so maybe he doesn't want to talk to us today. It's kind of odd, but maybe we'll grab. You know what? He'll probably be in here in a minute. He's burning it down right now. And well, for now, maybe I'll grab you, Andrew Love. You want to talk to Andrew?
Yeah, actually, let's give these drivers a few moments. We'll take a look at the race results. Well, we'll take a look at those race results here momentarily. I do actually want to address this here in the chat. Dan Jasinski, of course, Brian's brother, saying that classic Brian blowing up engines. He blew 3 engines at the real-life runoffs last year. Dan, was he filling up the engine oil with milk by any chance? That is unbelievable. I say this as somebody who came out of shifter kart racing. Actually, one of my buddy's teammates once blew up 4 engines through a kart racing weekend. We had a conversation with his dad not too long afterwards, and he was not down to have a at-length discussion about what happened at the racetrack at the hotel on Monday. But but I digress. Here are
he
your
is.
race results, though. Brian Szynski is your race winner, gets a job done 0.009 of a second at the end of this race. Guido Marzucchi ends up in P2. Andrew Love rounds out your overall podium in third, winning in the Masters category in the process. Angel Soto ends up in fourth in front of Ken Poulin in P5. Chris Montgomery ends up in sixth. Michelle Lynn, gotta say, a fantastic, rousing recovery drive from Michelle. She ends up in P7. Actually, by the way, Michelle, if you're tuning into this broadcast, you'll have to let me know the next time you have a show at the music store inside of Glenside. Me and my roommate are looking on maybe taking a trip out there so I can grow my jazz collection. And yes, I do have a jazz music collection. No, I'm not a very interesting human being. Brian Hansen wins in the Spec 2 category, ends up 8th overall. Parker Ladar in 9th, with Kurt Nunez completing your top 10. Alan DeGassis, Martin Visser 11th and 12th. Stephen Westcott and Jason Grider 13th and 14th. Josh Justice ends up in P15 with Wayne Buttermore in 16th. Gary Cattell ended up retiring from this race in the middle portion. But let's have a chat, shall we, with our race winner. I have a lot of questions, some of which relating to what happened at the runoffs last year. But let's talk to him about this race, shall we? Brian Szynski joining us now in the booth. Brian, welcome in. Congratulations on the victory. It may have been by a couple of inches, but it's a win regardless. How was it out there?
It was good, and I initially wasn't going to do it. I should be preparing a car to go to the June sprints, and I was very frustrated how the engine is not running properly at all. So I was like, let's just go do this. I did a little bit of draft party last night, and I didn't realize I had the rain set up from the last time I was in the car. I was like, I suck here, screw this. And then, I came out, had a lot of fun. The three of us is we all know the game, just wait till last lap and let's go. So I had a lot of fun just trying to annoy Guido. That's how I kept myself occupied, by just being in his mirrors.
Fantastic game.
And, not up to the line of slowing him down, but just being annoying as I could to him. I'm so happy to take this from him at his track because we've got a big race coming up Wednesday. It's him and I at Road America for the Club Racing League championship in Formula V. And as annoying as I can be to him is every little bit of advantage I hope I can get on. So
Nice.
yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, that looked like a very fun one. So good to hear that it's maybe going to just ease the frustration a little bit trying to get the car ready for the June sprints. But I do want to ask you about this racetrack here. We pretty much run here every single season. It's a bit of a tradition. I would say even more than Lime Rock to some degree. It feels like we're just running here all the time. Has it gotten to the point where this racetrack does grow a little bit stale behind the wheel because the kind of dynamic of tackling races here is so well known?
Yeah, I mean, they all do, to be honest. So I'm glad that this one was really, really hot, really, really slippery, just a little bit different from how we normally run it. I did like that aspect of it. But I mean, yeah, it's a great track. It'd be nice to see the oak tree spot where, every once in a while. But yeah, it's a good V track, just that half of the track. So I do not mind running here every season.
It just gives that always unique, I think, style of Formula V racing that we love to see. Now, I do want to ask this, and I apologize if this is a sore subject off the back of how this interview started. Dan called you out in the YouTube chats after we saw you with a blown motor after the end of the race and said that you blew up 3 at runoffs last year. I asked this out of pure curiosity. Did you fill the oil up with milk?
So I did not blow up at the runoffs. The runoffs were the only good race. My dad had heart surgery and was building a house and moving out of a house and all that. So I stole his car. I ran the purple car last year, and I was really excited because it's a newer, faster car, supposedly better engines. I blew up 2 at the June sprints last year, and then 1 after that, and it's no more than 3 laps every time. And it was a piston issue or something. But then I put my old vintage engine in it and won a regional race at Road America in August. So I was looking happy. Got a really nice engine from formulav.com. Mark Richardson, thank you very much. Had a problem-free runoff. So everything that blew was before the runoffs. So.
There we go. That's what matters at the end of the day. And hoping everything goes well heading off into the June sprints. Is that in 2 weeks or?
Yeah. So it's not this next weekend, but the following weekend.
Gotcha. So that corresponds with trying to do the math. So that'll be week 12 essentially here on iRacing.
Oh yeah, I'm out of the points. I had planned to miss a lot of weeks in prep, whether it was taking Tor to Gingerman last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and then turning around and prepping the SCCA car. So yeah, I'm out of it except for the week or month 6 of the club racing league. It's finally coming down to I think Guido's 5 points ahead in that. But I'll send Josh a note on the club racing league this Wednesday. It should be fun.
Sweet. Yeah, so that'll be very fun, and looking forward to hearing some of the stories that come out of that. We always love covering the RESCR occasionally on Wednesdays here on SMB. Yeah. But I do want to ask you about Lebanon next week out. Your final race here this season. That track is truly one of the tracks of all time. What are your thoughts heading there?
I always liked it. I thought when it was new to us, I thought I had a real advantage there back when I was on my old monitor and couldn't keep up with S1. By the way, this is my first S1 win. Back around Christmas, I stole this actual gaming monitor from my dad instead of running off of a 15, 20-year-old TV, and it got me a lot of speed. So thank you to the Ron Walker estate. My dad said it's getting good use. Let's just say that. So.
Excellent.
But yeah, I don't have a plan to run Lebanon. I think I'm going to be pretty busy next week. But yeah, it's a good V track too.
Well, we will hope to see you out there on the racetrack at some point here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in the not-too-distant future. And off the back of what you said about your old monitor, I will happily pay $5 Monopoly currency to anyone who tries to compete in an iRacing event driving off of a CRT. That would be cool. I would pay...
It's not a CRT, it's an LCD.
That'd be very good points.
Either way, I look forward to watching all of these great drivers and friends run next weekend from my garage.
There you go. So a little bit of entertainment as you're scraping up your knuckles to try and get that car ready for the June sprints, Brian. But before we let you go, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs as always.
Thank you to everybody as usual. These are great people driving here. It's a lot of fun week to week to go racing so hard with them and making friends. Thank you guys for doing an awesome job on the broadcast. Thank you, Mark Richardson, for all the work you do for me in the real Formula V, and the same goes to my dad and helping me with everything. June sprints wouldn't be possible without him. And Dan for the enjoyment of teasing him as much as I do Guido. It's all out of love.
See, annoying Guido that's basically like a national pastime. Forget baseball. That is a national pastime. I've been doing that every single Sunday for the past year and a half. But Brian,
wait till Wednesday. I got some stuff coming.
Oh no, that's see, just ask him about the French and he'll just go off for a solid hour and a half. I have seen this firsthand. So we'll leave that be. Brian, thank you for joining us, and we'll hope to see you out there on the racetrack at some point soon.
Cheers.
Yep, and that right there was our race winner, Brian Szynski, joining us here in the booth. Josh, I'll pass the mic off to you and ask who you would like to have a chat with.
Yeah, maybe we'll grab Guido. Actually, we'll bring him down.
We'll ask him
here.
about the French.
Yeah, maybe we'll ask him about. No, I think we'll avoid that. we'll avoid that one. Guido, Pretty great race today. Got pipped right at the very end there by Brian Szynski, taking one of his first, if not his first S1 victory. Tell us how it was today. This is, kind of one of your tracks, I think. Pretty specialist track, but, I mean, you can't fight a draft like that, can you?
Oh yeah, it was a fun race with Andrew and Brian. Kudos to Brian for the win. I think it's his first one in S1, and track temps were crazy. The track was very greasy and slippery, so it wasn't easy. And both Andrew and Brian, gave me a hard time. They made me sweat, so it was fun racing with them. I knew that I had a good pace in here. I love this track. But it's pretty much impossible to break the draft. Unless someone makes a huge mistake, and neither Andrew nor Alan nor Brian made any mistake today. By the last lap, I thought I had it. I was okay with letting Andrew go on the white flag lap because there is a long straight before the finish line, so usually being behind is better. I didn't realize that Brian was that close. I had to lift a bit, exiting the hog pen on the last lap because Andrew made a little mistake there, so he was a bit slower than I expected. I was really close to him. I had to lift a bit, and I think that costed me the race. And I didn't realize that Brian was there so close. I was fully focused on Andrew on my right, and I realized that Brian was there when the spotter called 3 wide, but at that point it was too late even to try to block, and I would have blocked him. No doubt. Andrew said, "Oh no, you're too kind to do that." No, I would have, no doubt about it. But it was too late when I realized he was there. I thought he was a bit far away than he was, but he played his cards very well today. He tried to disturb me during all the race because he never went for the move, but he was constantly moving in my rearview mirror, so I had to take that into account. But it was really fun. It was fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what he was saying as well. They're trying to just get in your mirrors and bug you a bit, not really try for a pass, but bug you a bit. And Brian got such a good pull out of that final corner there and was just able to pip you guys on the outside. So pretty awesome finish there for sure. But I believe next time we are headed to Lebanon, and I think it's Rudskogen after that. Lebanon, we've been there once or twice.
The last one, the last one is Brands Hatch.
This was Brands Hatch? I am seeing. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep, yeah, you guys changed it to Brands. That's a good one to finish on there, I think, for sure. But Lebanon will be the next one, sponsored by Wayne Buttermore. You looking forward to that one?
Oh, I like the track. Unlike this one, there is a bit more technical track. It's easier if you're faster to get away and to break the draft. I like it. It will be a very different race. It's very difficult to overtake there. It's really difficult to overtake.
For sure.
So qualifying will be really important, like today. And then, like most of the tracks with the V's, where qualifying is just to have a good position and not to be involved in anything going into turn 1, like it happened today. Being ahead, you have less chances to be involved in an incident, obviously. And but I'm looking forward to it. I think it will be a good race. Probably not many overtakes, but I think fastest guys will break away in a couple of laps. And then, we'll see how it will pan out. Pulling a move there, going for a move there, it's a risk. The track is really up and down. It's a roller coaster. No braking markers, so you really have to drive with your guts. And
for sure.
it's a great lap. It's a great track for hot lapping because it's challenging. It's really fun hot lapping. It's not that good for racing, maybe, especially in these cars. But usually we are able to have a good show also there. So last time we had the rain there. This time it will be dry.
Right.
So we will see.
A little different.
We will see.
Right on. Cool, Guido.
I want to
Well, before we let you go, we'll get you some thanks out there.
Yeah, thanks to Rafael Bolli for sponsoring this one, even if he wasn't on track. And as usual to Michelle, Stevie, and Jim. Get well, Jim. I think he will be on the booth next Saturday. And to Team Ginetto, as usual, Forza Team Ginetto.
Awesome. Right on, Guido. Well, great second place today, and we'll catch you next week out at Lebanon. Have a good one.
See ya. See you tomorrow, guys.
Yep, see you tomorrow.
And that right there was Guido Marzuki, our colleague here on SMB and our P2 finisher here. Let's have a chat with Andrew Love, our race winner in the Masters category, shall we? Andrew Love now joining us here in the booth. Andrew, welcome in. Well done on the Masters win. Really close finish at the end of this race. A top 3 covered by, is that about a half a tenth at the end of a 30-minute long race? That was a pretty wild finish.
And very enjoyable, too. Congrats to Brian for coming up from third place to win that overall. That was quite impressive.
It was a big fight back right towards the end of this race, but how was it out there? That looked like kind of typical VIR North action here in the V's, with a track that was, about as grippy as freshly installed, wood flooring.
Yes. Actually, I didn't notice the slippery too much. Maybe my setup, I'm just used to driving a loose car, but I really didn't notice that it wasn't very sticky out there. But over the race itself, thank you very much for the draft, for whoever programmed the draft into iRacing, the developer, because that pretty much saved myself from staying with Guido, or allowed me to stay with Guido. The draft coming out of, because there were a couple laps, I was 0.5 behind Guido coming out of NASCAR, and then I was on his tail by the time we made the right-hander up the hill to the cut through. So the draft really saved me. Good race.
Yeah, it did look like a fun one. I think we saw track temperatures nearing 130 degrees here, so I was going to kind of ask you about how tough it was to manage out there, but not feeling the burn out there when it comes to track temp. Next time out here in the series, we're going to be rocking and rolling at Lebanon there in France. That track is always just such an oddity that I can't really describe the other racing action that we may see there, despite having done a couple of times myself. So, if you could put it in your own words, what kind of racing do you think we're going to see next time out?
It's going to be difficult. For me, I don't like Lebanon because it's actually a second gear track. There's a couple corners in there where you can use second gear. And it's a little harder for me to downshift from third to second than it is from fourth to third in the V. So I'm not really looking forward to Lebanon, but it should be good. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more racy, and there won't be a big incident that breaks the whole pack away. So there'll be lots of lots of action on the track instead of just kind of everybody kind of broken away.
You know, I think you're the first person that I've gotten the opportunity to interview who has mentioned the struggles about getting from third into second here in these cars, or even the other way around. It feels like you're going into a completely different transmission. It is so bizarre.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the car is made for third and fourth gear only. Second gear is you just don't want to be there. You have to get it just right. You have to get the revs right. I'm one that uses the clutch pedal, but I'm also using flappy paddles. So I've gotten a little better with the clutch on downshifts because I've programmed in a second clutch for one of the buttons on the wheel, so I don't have to do the heel toe to get the clutch to go. So I have a button on my steering wheel which allows me to, it's a second clutch, so I just push the button in and I can downshift a lot easier. So that saved me in other vehicles, other cars on the service that require the H pattern. But hopefully that'll help me. I haven't run this configuration with the button in Let It On yet, so I'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll certainly be keeping our eyes open to see how the racing is and see whether or not my own shifting struggles can be saved in any way, shape, or form. That's the main reason why I don't show up to some of the draft board. Well, that, and also the fact that I'm usually broadcasting on a different show on Friday nights. But I always felt like I was embarrassing myself with the shift. It's like my commentary isn't made seriously because I'm that bad in a V. But Andrew, certainly quick here as always here in this race, and we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs before we let you go.
Thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. Thanks for Jim to putting the servers together and sponsoring the Friday night draft party, even though he was unavailable this weekend. Thanks to Stevie and Michelle for running the league and getting the sponsorship, and thanks to Raphael for the sponsorship of this race.
Awesome, Andrew. Thank you very much for joining us here in the booth, and we'll see you next time at it. Let It On.
Okay, we'll do. All right, thanks.
Sounds good. That right there was Andrew Love, our Masters winner here today. Josh, it was VIR North doing VIR North things. Even with the track being boiling hot, we still saw kind of the same racing that we usually see around here.
Yeah, it does seem to kind of spawn that same sort of Groundhog Day racing into T1 over and over again till the wee hours. And then all of a sudden you get a decent race there at the end, and that's what we got again today there with a really super close finish. Interesting to hear. Again, we are peeling back some layers of the sim there and hearing how Andrew Love has his setup with a button for a clutch. And, you know, this is kind of things we're going to start digging into a little around here as well. Guido also mentioning, or I believe, it was Dan Trzynski mentioning as well, the monitors he's changing and how that has actually changed and made him a little bit faster, probably because of refresh rate and so on. So these are things we'll dig into a little more as these seasons go on. But of course, we do have a whole bunch more here coming up on slow motion broadcasting. Adam Istep Memorial Scholarship Mustang GT3 race on May 30th, 10 a.m. PST is going to be a great one. So many amazingly beautiful liveries out there to check out for sure. We do have a little slideshow we'll be running most of the time here. I'm actually working on a new one right now with some more liveries added to it that we'll be showing here pretty soon. So make sure you can use those QR codes that you see on screen here now to sign up or donate. And also to watch. And then, Ron, we also have our upcoming shows here if you want to maybe go through that quickly here while I do some production stuff.
Yeah, that we certainly do. Of course, you just saw the Formula V's running here at VIR North. Next time you'll be able to see these cars on May the 30th, not too far off after the Adam W. Estep Memorial Scholarship race. The Formula V's will be back here on Slow Motion Broadcasting at Circuit de Let It On. Of course, we've got the Spec Racer Fords tomorrow here on the channel. Now, very rare instance, although it was the case here with the other Formula V's last 2 weeks, that I will not be in the booth for the other Spec Racer Fords. I will work pretty much every single time, any single day of the week within reason. I've done periods where I've worked about 30 days in a row, and it's not very good for my brain, but I will be watching the Indy 500 and all the other racing festivities tomorrow. But it'll still be some awesome racing action when the Spec Racer Fords rock up to the Charlotte Roval in about 24 hours. hours' time. The F4s will be back here on Slow Motion Broadcasting this upcoming Tuesday. They'll be at Tsukuba for the second to last round of the F4s, and the second to last round of the F3s will be right where the F4s just were, at Adelaide. And stay tuned for a YouTube short that may be coming out of that F4 race. We saw a pretty wild ride that you may want to see as well. A lot of action, as always, gives you a darn good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But that's this broadcast here for round number 10 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here at VIR. That will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on this show, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action on Slow Motion Broadcasting here today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.